So will you join me, please, as you close your eyes and as you open to the truth that we are seeking in a time of meditation. I open now. And one of the ways that we can open is to really sense the vibration within our very own bodies and being. So if you would, if your hands are on your lap, just raise them right off your lap. Hold them out. And just turn all of your attention to the palms of your hands and out to the fingertips as you sense the vibration and the flow of divine life right here in your own hands. As you sense the pulse, the circulation of your body's fluids, and as you especially feel the sensations of life in whatever way you do. Your hands might begin to feel heavy or warm or tingling. And then lower your hands to your lap, and as you do, breathe deeply. Again, open to the knowledge that throughout your body system, right here and now, all life is flowing. Breathe, intentionally breathe, and feel most alive. I open now to know myself as a divine human. I open to the fullness of my humanity and my divinity. As I open, I can't but notice that there is a life, there is a vibration and a power that is within me and is all around me. I now recognize the divine. I recognize, and I send a code of authority to ask all the cells of my body, to ask my whole being to be at attention, to notice divinity in the life that I am. I recognize that all power that is in this very moment. That all life, love, wisdom, and strength, all that I could ever need is right here and now. I recognize it is beyond my own human capacity, but it sure is accessible to me. So I integrate. I am that power. I am divine. It's so easy to miss this when I'm walking around thinking I'm only human. But right now, I integrate my humanity and my divinity. I am a divine human. I'm going to ask my brain to accept this as truth. I'm going to instruct my nervous system to agree. And I'm going to sit in silence for a moment in the awe of this amazing reality. I am a divine human. Hmm. As my heart and mind come into agreement that I am a divine human, I turn my attention to realizing, what can I do with this knowledge going forward? How might I live my life today knowing I am a divine human? How will I lead as divine love? How will I lead in strength? How will I establish order in my day? How will I speak and think in this realization that I am a divine human? How will I know that conditions can never define me or limit me? For the divine of me is more than capable. That all that I could ever need is right here where I am. And it is in my acknowledgement and acceptance and embodiment of this idea that I find I am able. And so I appreciate this grand reality, this truth that I am a divine human. And so as we conclude this time of meditation, I'm going to ask you to stay in the framework, stay in the mentality of it. But where it's possible for you, I'm going to ask you to stand. Stand with me. If standing is not comfortable for a moment for you, then just sit toward the edge of your seat. But if you can, stand with me. Place the palms of your hands on either side of your head, like right around your temple, and let your fingertips meet at the crown. And right here and now, celebrate and appreciate your divine mind that knows its true nature. I am a divine human. Now lower your hands and place your palms one over the other at your heart center. Celebrate and appreciate your divine heart that knows its unity. Raise your arms overhead, breathe in, and as you do, turn your palms downward toward each other and lower your hands just in front of your body as you exhale and celebrate and appreciate your divine body that knows its wholeness. And then be seated. And as you do, repeat the refrain for yourself, a truth that we must know if we are going to really give the world the greatest of what we know of our identity, and that is to say, I am a divine human. And so it is. So it is. Amen. Amen. I find it's interesting that I'm following Armand and Angelina from last week. You guys, how rude is that? I mean, I have been called an irreverend at times, so maybe you'll get a little of that today from me. It's truly a delight, and I just honor your incomparable minister, Reverend Anna, because she really is, and I know you'll be very excited to have her return next week. And I'm grateful for the invitation that she offered me to be able to speak about prayer, because there's no topic more exciting to me. I might be retired from a position, from a role, but this is what retirement looks like, guys. You know, I'm writing, the next book is about to come out. And by the way, the title of that next book, Discover Your Divinity, A Modern Guide to Affirmative Prayer. This book will be very helpful for prayer teams and Unity Ministries, which is where most of my work outside of leading a church myself in San Antonio for years, and then being the leader of Unity's 24/7 prayer ministry, Silent Unity. In addition to those things, I've been writing and teaching in the movement for the last couple of decades, and it's the number one subject for me. So to be invited to speak at a time when you're really gearing up for your annual prayer training is, again, it's just a real delight and a thrill. And that this book can become a next textbook for specifically for people who pray with others, that will help, for the training and for clarifying. So yay. So let's talk about prayer. The title here, Prayer on the Ledge. I mean, how many of you have prayed prayers of desperation? How many times have your life circumstances led you to your knees, whether that's figuratively or literally? Prayer is the go-to for spiritual and religious people. It's the go-to when times are tough, is it not? But even when times are not tough, when we're working with any kind of issues in our life, prayer can be very useful. Are you in agreement with that? Yeah. I'm going to start out by saying this. My dominant intention is to provoke. I'm saying that really directly to you, and I mean that in all sincerity. I'm a provocateur. My writings provoke. I've had people with that first book, How to Pray Without Talking to God, have some strong response to it, right? So provoking is what I love to do, because if I'm not provoking thought, what good is anything I'm saying or writing? To me, that's the role of teaching, and really who gets most provoked is me. I'm always provoking myself. I'm always trying to think deeper. I'm always trying to understand in a greater way. And so I question everything that I've been taught. How about you? I mean, many of you are in Unity because you've questioned. Am I right? You've questioned what you've been told. You've questioned the standard answers, the pat phrases, the expressions of, well, that's the way life is. You've said, but is it? Is it really? For me, that's what I do with prayer. I'm like, well, I don't get it. I don't get it, so I want to understand more. And so this is what I want to share with you, some thoughts, because when I am praying with some kind of need, which is what most prayer is about, outside of prayers of thanksgiving, right? Outside of just the pure thrill of saying, I'm so grateful for life. Most of our prayers are of some kind of need, right? And when we pray with the thought that I know what I want, I know the outcome that I want what I want. When I pray with that, it's a prayer of limitation. Do you see that? It's such a prayer of limitation, because I only know what I know where I'm standing in this very moment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I only know what I know right here and now. And trust me, if I'm feeling a lot of emotion, what I know is pretty limited. What I know is confined to what I think in that moment would be the best thing to happen, you see? And so that prayer is a prayer of limitation. So how do we get beyond that? And how do we get from the feeling into which we enter prayer? So there's a reason why we pray. When times are tough and we pray, there's a reason. We think it's because we want something specific. But I'm going to say, and maybe you can connect with this, I pray because I feel powerless. Think about that. Think about the things you've asked for prayer support around. I feel powerless. So the prayers of powerlessness are prayers seeking, where's the power? Where is the power? That's what we're after in prayer. And the good news is Unity's teaching says the power is right where you are. Right where I am, all power is. Right where I am, God is. And so how do we get to that in prayer? Really, that's the question, right? And that's what we're after. Unity has such a unique form of prayer we recognize, don't we, that it's not about catching God's attention. It's not about having enough prayer warriors that, God's going to answer because we've all banded together. No, no, no. No, it's not about asking for what we want. It's about realizing what we are. That makes sense? Realizing what we are. So we're turning prayer around. Instead of talking to God, we're talking from a consciousness of our divine human understanding. Myrtle Fillmore said it. She said, prayers aren't sent out at all. Who would you send your prayers to? She said, we should direct our prayers to our minds and hearts and affairs. In other words, we need to tell ourselves the truth of our divine capacities, of our sufficiency, of our abilities. We need to do that, and that is the way we answer prayer. That's radically different from what most of us were taught. I mean, am I right? It's a big, big shift in awareness, and it hasn't come easy for most of us. Look, I had to write a book about it. I mean, I had to write about it because I was grappling with deeper understanding. How about you? You didn't have to write, but, some of you've studied for a long, long time and are continuing to deal with the discordance between the messages that we grew up with or that are so part of our culture and a truth that's been amazing and that we know, and that's why we're here, because we know this greater truth. So, we don't need to get into today all the embedded theology, all the things that have led us to having to rethink prayer. But this whole idea of Unity's teachings, they called the 5 principles, but in my estimation, there's really just one principle. We call it the prime principle of oneness, right? There's only one power. You say it every week here, it looks like. There's only one power. That power is God. There's only one power. And what do we say about humanity? Well, God and I are one. God and I are one. It's the same principle. Do we get that? It's the same principle. We lay them out in Unity in 5 principles because we need to really emphasize these things, right? We need to emphasize them. But there's only one principle, oneness. And so this prayer process of unity is really founded on that idea there's only one. And our work is to get into that stream of consciousness where I know oneness, where God and I are one, where I know it, where there's only one mind. And boy, that's something, it's a reconditioning process that is necessary. That's why we have so much silence in Unity, right? Because we have to be still in the recognition of that idea, and to get it, we have to kind of let other thoughts go in order to then experience that reality, because it's not something that's blatant, right? It's not obvious when we're running around in space and time and form. That oneness is not obvious. It takes us being in the timeless reality of the silence and in prayer for us to start to realize this is the truth, right? And to find that our capacity is so much greater than it is when we see ourselves only as form and shape in time and space. Are you with me? With me? Okay. So Unity's prayer process by Charles Fillmore was defined as the most highly accelerated mind action known. So this tells us what it requires, right? That it requires us shifting our awareness. Yeah, I'm human and I am divine. And it's coming into this awareness of my divinity that allows me to see a greater capacity that I need. Is this tracking with what you experience when you go to prayer, when you pray with someone? That shift, right? That shift. In fact, I learned something when I was in San Antonio, Texas, for many years there. First of all, it's my metaphor for prayer, and I'm going to tell you what it is. First of all, I have always been directionally challenged when I'm driving, right? And I came from Pennsylvania where the highways were long, and the distance from one exit on the highway to the next could be many, many miles, right? And if I missed my exit, I would go out of my way for probably a half an hour, having to go to the whole next exit, wind around all these roads to come back to the other side. It was always happening to me because I really struggled with that. Thank goodness for GPS. That's been my best friend, right? So in San Antonio, I had the easiest time driving that I have in all the places that we have lived, and it's because of this. The highways, especially in the cities, are lined with businesses on the sides, and they have access roads on the sides. This is in Dallas as well as in San Antonio. I remember experiencing it. So when I find that the shop that I'm looking for is back there, and I've passed the exit to get to it, I don't have to fret at all, and I don't have to go out of my way. I pull over to the inside most lane, and there's a little sign called turn around, turn around. And I just get over there, I turn around, and I'm on the access road and go right where I was going. Holy cow, that was a revelation to me. Such a great thing, because, when I found I had gone too far, I didn't scream at my car. I didn't say, bad car, you didn't take me where I wanted to go. No. I just turned around. Do you get the metaphor for this? This is what affirmative prayer in unity is all about. It's the great Texas turnaround. So keep that in your head. This is my dance, my metaphor of the dance of spiritual awakening, of expanding consciousness, is to say, when I find I'm not where I want to be, my job in prayer is to turn around. Turn around, do that Texas turnaround, shift my consciousness. What I'm doing is saying, I am not only human. I am a divine human. You get that? That's the shift. This is only human. Oh, shucks, I'm not where I wanted to be. Divine human says, I can turn around. Turn around. Let me see more clearly the truth of my capacity. Because remember, why I pray is because I feel powerless. When I do the great Texas turnaround, power. I'm where I'm meant to be. Do you like that? I mean, to me, to have some kind of visual on this for me has been so helpful, because it really is something I can do, and my consciousness follows that doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I already heard this from Vivian. I didn't say your name correct, right? Yeah, Vivian. I met a second Vivian, so I was confusing myself. Yes. Vivian, speaking about prayer and the prayer chaplain's training, which is to take your powers, to start to learn more about your spiritual capacities, and to be able to activate them, to be able to set them in motion, really what we're talking about, to then embody them, to be a representation of that power in your life. That's the real gift of prayer, is to say, I am fully capable. I'm not powerless at all. Whatever power I need for this situation, let me experience it. Let me do the great turnaround and land on it, on that power, and then let me realize in prayer, how can I use this power today in this situation? So I'm in disharmony with a with a neighbor. We're having a dispute over our fence line, and it's really troublesome. And oh my gosh, my thoughts about that neighbor have been pretty snarky. Anybody ever have a snarky thought about your neighbor? Oh my word. And you know, it's hard to change that because man, they keep saying things and they keep doing things that reinforce those snarky thoughts. You know what I mean? So, oh my gosh, it's so hard to get out of that. And so I take it to prayer. I go find a prayer partner, or I go into prayer myself, and I think about, what is it I feel powerless about? Well, I feel powerless to be in harmony with my neighbor. Well, good thing there's a power for that, right? Good thing divine love is the power of harmony. It's the harmonious power. Good thing I know that. And good thing I know that God is that love. I can recognize there is a power of love that exists right here and now. I might not be tuned into it because I'm stuck in snark, you know, I'm stuck in that emotion, but it's there. And so let me recognize it. I open to that. I recognize that, oh, God is love. There it is, all love that is. When I say God is love, I'm saying all love that is and all love that ever has been is right here and now. There's only one power, one presence. And I'm calling it love right now. All of that love is right here in this moment. You know, maybe there's some of that I could realize, right? Maybe there's some of that. I don't need all love that is. I just need enough love to harmonize my own thoughts about my neighbor such that I can be a presence of greater harmony when I talk to my neighbor. You see how useful prayer is when I really start to see that that's what this is about. This isn't the prayer of that you know, that we've been taught, you know, God, get the devil out of my neighbor, please. You know, it's not that prayer. It's not, God, please change my neighbor. Please change my neighbor and change this situation, right? No, this is about, oh, what am I in this situation? And what am I to bring to this situation? There's this laughingly, maybe tongue-in-cheek, maybe not, statement that's why unity communities aren't overflowing, because, man, you see the personal responsibility in this, right? I am the answer to my prayer. And I am is the answer to my prayer. My knowledge of I am that love, I am. That's the answer to my prayer. Because I cannot now go to my neighbor once I've had this realization, and once I get in realization the thought that my thoughts about my neighbor are contributing to this discord, right? My way I'm approaching my neighbor needs to shift in order for the situation to improve. You know, and it's easy to say, well, my neighbor's the one who did wrong. I mean, my neighbor's the one who set this in motion. I'm just going to say, I've been there in my own life. You know, many of you've read probably more than you want to know about me in my books, right? When I write about my father having disowned me when Giles and I married. Giles is with the books, by the way. Giles, some of you met him on the way in, my sweetheart Giles. When we married, my father disowned me. And so I write extensively in my books about my shift in awareness and returning to the state of harmonious love and unifying love with my dad until I could see that he and I were not separate, that there was no separation between us, that the love that I was crying for was the same love he was crying for, and that we were one. And I got that viscerally in my meditations about him. And it was then, after 9 years of my practice, that we healed that in this lifetime, he and I. And that was so long ago. Today he's 92, almost 93 years old, and what a precious precious connection we have, you know? So I'm writing about this and I'm teaching about this from my own experience of it. There is no greater good that we can do but then to accept the assignment, to be and to embody the very thing that we think we're missing, the very thing we think is needed for this situation. Are you with me in that? So, divine love, you are the harmonious power of divine love. So you too, I bet you when I was talking, some of you at least had thought of that one person who brings out your snark. You know, there's always somebody, there's somebody in our life. And so, you know, doing that treatment on yourself, that shift, that Texas turnaround for yourself has remarkable potential. Because you, if you're the one who feels it, you're the one who gets to act on it, right? You're the one who gets to turn it around in consciousness, right? So this is true for all of our powers. So prayer is not, again, just to reiterate, is not for some specific outcome. Prayer is really for healing of our own mind. Do we get that? That's the purpose of prayer, and that's the outcome, the best outcome is I now am aware of my divine humanity. I now am aware. Charles Fillmore called this, by the way, the God-man. The God-man, right? The Christ consciousness, the God-man. Divine humanity is sort of a 21st century way of saying that very thing. I am a divine human. Tell yourself this often so that you're not seeing yourself as only human, that you're acknowledging the ineffable of you that really is not apparent in times of appearances. You know, it's like when I'm in an appearance, I'm in a time, space, reality. I'm in a three-dimensional, I'm in form and shape. I don't have access to that spaciousness of the reality of my divinity. But always it is there, just like the atmosphere around us is always there. So, whatever God is, I am. Charles Fillmore said this, and you can read this in the textbooks we have. You know, whatever you can say about God, you must begin to say about yourself. So whether this sits easily with you or not, you know, I was here to provoke. Whether or not this sits easily with you, I invite you and I just urge you to continue to study the Unity's teachings about our divine identity, to study how prayer can really help us to break out beyond the thought of ourself as limited to form and space and humanity, right? To see ourselves in a greater context, never to extinguish our humanity. I'm going to just really make sure I say that very deliberately. We honor our humanity. We honor our human feelings and experiences and the meaning that we make of life. We honor that. We just know it's not the end of the story. It's not the whole story. There's a whole divine aspect of being that prayer is really good at helping us to encounter and to begin to realize and utilize in our life. All right, that makes sense? Yes. So we can never be powerless. You know, we can pretend, or that's not the word, that's not pretense. We can be in a state of consciousness where we think we are powerless. And when I'm in that state, which I am from time to time, that's when I call a prayer partner. And I want a prayer partner who's going to proverbially only slap some truth into me, right? I want somebody who's going to say, knock it off. You know the truth of your being. You know. And help me to make the Texas turnaround. Help me get back on track and know what I know and what I come to know from periods of meditation and prayer and study. I come to know this aspect of my nature more and more, and become, the more familiar I am with it, the more I have access to it. Make sense? And the more I can stand in any moment and call it forth from within me and be what Jesus was, right? That kind of presence in which other people get a glimpse of their capacity, and so they heal. I mean, Jesus didn't say, "Let me heal you." Jesus stood as I am. I am. In his presence, people woke up to that and got a glimpse themselves and became able. So we can find our able, and we can be a kind of presence in which other people find their ability as well. I am a divine human. Just close your eyes. Tell yourself that message. I am a divine human. And so it is. So it is, friends. Thank you so much for the gift of your presence, everyone in the Zoom room too.
Just double checking here. I think we've got some music coming, but in the meantime, it's time to bless our gifts and tithes. And I like to take it in my hand, infuse it with that love energy. And for those at home, join us in infusing that energy, and you can click on the donate button. So together, let's affirm. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so.